A Politico story was going to come out about a relationship that he'd had with this Axios reporter named Alexei McCammond.
Yeah, and then he was basically just given a slap on the wrist from Jen Psaki.
Right.
They suspended him for 1 week without pay. And then, of course, this week he officially resigned. His statement said this, Sean, in quote, "No word can express my regret, my embarrassment, and my disgust for my behavior. I use language that no woman should ever have to hear from anyone, especially in a situation where she was just trying to do her job. It was language that was abhorrent, disrespectful, and unacceptable." And this comes, obviously, as Joe Biden had said on Inauguration Day, we mentioned this, that anyone who is disrespectful will be fired on the spot. No ifs, ands, or buts. So I don't know where he came down on this, but obviously T.J. Jekyll resigned. So.
Yeah, it was interesting. They noted in the stories on Saturday that the president, just found out about this on Saturday. And I'm thinking to myself, this is the guy that was your campaign spokesman. He's the #2 press officer. And you didn't tell him about it the entire 30 days that have been going on since this, which I thought was interesting. I also, look, just in full disclosure, I feel bad. This guy clearly screwed up.
Yeah.
He's got stage 4 cancer. And I just, look, I've been there. A lot of people are going, oh, I can't believe you're saying this about a Biden guy. You know what? When you've been there and you know how tough this is sometimes, you feel a little sympathy for the individuals. But that being said, I'm not excusing his behavior in any way. The thing that I did thought was additionally interesting was this incident, the one that happened between him and the Politico reporter, happened on Inauguration Day, January 20th. They knew about it then. Politico had met with them. They had apologized in January, and they did nothing about it, not until they got caught.
Yeah.
Right? And so they keep talking about this standard. The reality is they didn't do anything until they got caught. And, you know, Lizzie, it was interesting. I was thinking about this over the weekend. We had 2 Politico reporters on a couple weeks ago, and we were talking to them about coverage of the White House. And it was interesting. They talked about how nice it was to cover the Biden administration. Take a listen to what they said then.
I think most reporters are very good at keeping their personal opinions out of their news stories. But we have to just face facts here that there are fewer scandals and controversies in this Biden administration in its early days than the Trump administration had in one day.
You know, it's interesting. They were talking about scandal-free, like that there was nothing going. But if you look at the timeline, Politico knew that this was happening when they were talking about this, right? This is a couple weeks ago, but the initial incident with Politico, it happened on January 20th. They knew there were scandals in this White House. The Vanity Fair article came out about Ducklow and McCammond's relationship. And it's just, so it's fascinating when you actually go back and look at facts, which I know all these guys talk a good game about, but don't actually want to do this. But one of the things that I want to do today is I want to pull back the curtain and explain to everybody what's going on, because it's what you're not seeing on television and print that's just as important as what you are seeing. And we're going to get to that in a minute. But first, I want to break down what else happened this weekend, because as you mentioned, it was jam-packed with news.
Yeah, it was, Sean. And someone else who resigned over the weekend as well was Steve Schmidt from the Lincoln Project. He stepped down from the organization's board due to the recent scandal regarding their co-founder, John Weaver, who we've discussed, who resigned over allegations of an inappropriate behavior with several underage boys. You know, something else that's worth mentioning along those lines that news outlets aren't covering is this massive discrepancy around the Lincoln Project's finances. And even HBO host Bill Maher pushed back on Schmidt in a recent interview. Listen.
Out of $87 million that was raised by the Lincoln Project, about 63 to 66 million of that money went to voter contact, into voter contact programs. The campaigns cost a lot of money. All of this stuff, every super PAC operates like this, and the Lincoln Project did it for a specific reason.
Well, where'd the other money go?
Yeah, where did the other money go? I just did the math. So they raised over 87 million bucks. He says that 63 million went to voter contact, which, just be clear, it went to the firms that they controlled. So they got a cut of that already. So the 63 million that they spent on voter contact, that's mail, phones, ads, it all went to their companies, their own companies. So then they profited off of the 63 million. Then by my liberal arts college math, that leaves another 24 million bucks that they then split up on themselves. I mean, this is a massive get-rich scheme that these guys did. And to be like, look, we spent the bulk of the 63 million, but there's like only 24 million left over. How are we, it's not like they had to divide that up among 6 of us. I mean, that's only, 4 million apiece. This is insane. But it's another example of how the media largely ignored a story about one of their own. Because they were going after Trump, it was look the other way. We know that this money's getting blown and these guys are getting rich off this. And yeah, there's some rumors. But you know what? It's in pursuit of getting Trump. So let's ignore that story
until the election.
Oh, right. Exactly, Lindsay. After the election, then we go after them. Then we can destroy them because mission accomplished. They got that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, this story over the weekend. Governor Andrew Cuomo, remember him? He got his Emmy Award. He got a book deal. He was so awesome because he got an Emmy for his masterful COVID-19 briefings. You know, best supporting actor, I guess. And the New York Attorney General has now released a report that suggested that the Cuomo administration undercounted deaths among nursing home residents by as much as 50%.
Yeah, this is absurd, Sean. And on a Zoom conference call with state lawmakers, one of Cuomo's top aides, Melissa DeRosa, basically blamed Trump and the Republicans for their bad COVID data.
Yes.
Here's what she said. Quote, and basically we froze because then we were in a position where we weren't sure if we were going to give what we were going to give to the Department of Justice or what we were going to give to you guys. And what we're saying was going to be used against us. While we weren't sure if there was going to be an investigation, I know that that's not fair. It was not our intent to put you in a political position with the Republicans. I mean, the press fawned all over Cuomo for his response. As you mentioned, he came out with a memoir, a book about his leadership during COVID-19. And then right after that, cases are spiking like crazy. In the media, they praised him, and now all this is coming out about these nursing homes. CNN has been, quite frankly, not covering it.
Oh yeah.
Wonder why?
But you gotta get Trump. I mean, it's insane. You think about this for a second, right? This guy admits that they covered up 50% of the deaths, and their response is, "Yeah, but if we told you guys the truth, you know what would happen? The Trump folks would attack us. So we had to do it.
Yeah.
We had to cover this up. You know,
Yep.
I mean, Cuomo got a pass. He was on CNN every night with his brother playing patty cake. How awesome are you? Not as awesome as you. No, you're more awesome. You're awesomer. This is how they handle this. And nobody's calling them out for it. No. Move on. We still got to talk about Trump and impeachment. We talked about how this whole impeachment was just political theater, by the way, from the beginning. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more with senior advisor to the president, Jason Miller, in just a minute. But take a look at who all the guests were on the big Sunday shows this weekend. Look at this. Meet the Press. Who did they have on? House Impeachment Manager, Congressman Jamie Raskin. Doesn't like Trump. Maryland Governor Larry Hogan. Doesn't like Trump. Illinois Senator Dick Durbin. Doesn't like Trump. Okay, we'll turn over to this week with George Stephanopoulos. Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy. He voted against Trump. Impeachment Manager Congresswoman Madeline Dean. She doesn't like Trump. Delaware Senator Chris Coons. He doesn't like Trump. Okay, turn the dial. CBS's Face the Nation. Colorado Congressman Joe Newsy. He definitely doesn't like Trump. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Well, he did like Trump, but guess what? They asked him all the questions about what Trump did wrong. Then you keep going over, you might want to turn over to CNN, State of the Union, in case you got lost. You see again, Maryland Governor Larry Hogan, Impeachment Manager Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, doesn't like Trump. Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy, he doesn't like Trump. You'll notice all of these guests are Democrats or Republicans who didn't like Trump or voted against him. But watching, you'd never know there was another side. You don't think that anybody supports Trump because no one's on any of the shows.
Yeah, it's definitely weighted, for sure. Also the bias went further. It was so much on these tweets from reporters giving their actual opinion, not necessarily reporting. I want to just show a handful of these real quick if we can put them up here. Like tweets from Joe Scarborough, a political reporter who says Donald Trump destroyed the Republican majority in the House, Senate, and their control of the White House. But look at that,
Lindsay. Look at who liked it. Willie Geist likes that, hit on him. So, these guys showed exactly who they were. They're all coming out and tweeting how much that they thought the Democrats, what the strategy is the Democrats needed to use. And it was amazing that they played it this way. They constantly are just putting up twice. I mean, look at the tweets from Catherine Watson of CBS. McConnell's wife resigned from her position as transportation secretary over Trump's actions and inactions. But McConnell is voting to acquit him. Oh, my gosh. I mean, it's amazing how these guys just do it out in public and nobody says anything.
Yeah.
They are so...
They're like pundits.
Yes, exactly. That's the right thing.
Instead of reporters, they're giving their own opinion instead of the facts, which is unfortunate because then only people who look at them think, oh, this is actually truth, but it's their own opinion.
Right. Rachel Bade tweeted this out. This is another one that you just got to see. It says, I'm in shock. Democrats finally had their moment. That's all caps. To take a shot at Trump. Call in witnesses. Show the world what he did on January 6th was beyond what they know. And they chose not to, all for the sake of the Biden agenda. I mean, give me a break. It is unbelievable how blatant this thing is. I also want to show you one quick headline from Politico's playbook this morning, because this takes the cake. This is the headline. Today is the unofficial start of the presidency. Seriously, this is it. Now, forget the first month. Nothing happened there. We had to focus on Trump. Now the Biden presidency starts.
That's insane.
It is insane.
Yeah.
And as you saw, none of these networks, as we just mentioned, with the biggest political story, according to them, had any guests to represent President Trump.
Hi, Emma Reckenberg here. If you like this video, there's a whole lot more to see on Newsmax TV. You can watch for free right here on our YouTube live stream and be the first one here each time our experts break down real news. Just hit that subscribe button, ring the bell icon, and stay with us on America's fastest growing cable news channel, Newsmax TV.